Welcome to the Coop Tank. I'm your host, Steve Cooper, coming to you from SuiteRecording in beautiful Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And I'm here with my producer, Joe. And I'll tell you, Joe, we're going to get a Christmas tree today. And I really love Christmas songs. And two of my favorite are Santa Claus is Coming to Town by Bruce Springsteen, which when I was in L.A., my friends were going to see Springsteen in Anaheim. And I've seen him a bunch of times, but never saw him do that song. And I actually bought a ticket and took the train from L.A. It's like an hour down to Anaheim and saw him sing it. That's a song I love. And also Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC, a song that people don't appreciate. Now, you're a musician. What are two Christmas songs you really dig?
Yo, Coop, those are two deep cuts, man. I like those picks. Mine, probably the first one that comes to mind would be Father Christmas by the Kinks. It's just a great song. It's funny and it rocks. But if you want a more traditional pick, it would probably be Jingle Bell Rock, because I love the guitar and I love the melody, and it makes me feel like I'm sitting by a fireplace with my family on Christmas. So those would be mine.
Now, for Christmas, people should get gift cards. I don't think we have gift cards to SuiteRecording. Tell me why SuiteRecording is so good.
Absolutely. At SuiteRecording, we help brands and businesses to leverage the power of podcasts and video content. Podcasting is a great tool for generating content such as video clips, blog posts, newsletters, and more. It's also great for business development too, when you think about like the networking possibilities, kind of like what Coop does with his Coop Tank podcast, where he brings in movers and shakers within the business world, and he builds those and strengthens those connections. So we do a lot of things at SuiteRecording, like mobile recording, live streaming, studio building, lots of things like that. So if you'd like to learn more, you can always contact us anytime at hello@suiterecording.com or visit us on the web at suiterecording.com. That's SUITE. Take it away, Coop.
Okay, I got to give a shout out to my sponsors, which I was out the other night. Laurel Lanes, man. Laurel Lanes is the ultimate entertainment center. They have 60 lanes of bowling. They have a state-of-art arcade games, and they have private luxury suites. I mean, they have something for everyone. And I sit there, I have my event there, and it's great for corporate events, birthday parties, or a night out with friends. And if you do a networking event there, your first event, they give you 10% of your charity of your choice. And I do my event in Splits Bar and Grill. That's their on-site restaurant, which has awesome food and awesome drinks. Killer happy hour every Monday through Friday to 4 to 7. That's why I do my event there, because people come in and they don't have to spend a lot of money. They get a beer for $2.50 and an appetizer for $5. And on your way out, I saw some people doing this the other day. They have Lickety Splits. It's an ice cream parlor, and they have great, like these great, unique, handcrafted creations, and some of them have alcohol. And I've had the butter pecan bourbon, and it's very good. So go to Laurel Lanes, especially if you're getting to get together for the Christmas time. Go to Laurel Lanes or go to Splits Bar and Grill, and you can check them out at laurellanesnj.com. All right, we have a great show today. In fact, I booked two of them the other night at Cocktails with Cooper at Splits, because like an ass, I left everything going because I've been really busy, and I said, I got to get some guests. And they walked in, and I knew they'd be good guests. But my first guest, I booked the week before. He's from Got You Covered in Mount Laurel. It's Scott Farkas. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Right. And then from Beechtree Marketing, we have Michelle Coyle. What's up, Michelle?
Good. Thanks for having me, Steve.
And from GHA Technologies, my man, Wes Waninger. What's up, man?
All good, Steve. Happy Friday.
All right. So we're going to start with you, Scott. Tell us a little about what Got You Covered is.
Got You Covered, as the picture shows. We do custom window treatments, so everything, blinds, shades, curtains, outside awnings, and custom drapery, and everything can be motorized, Steve.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's very important, people, to get good window coverings, because those Venetian blinds are sort of shitty. They're like, they get stuck and they fall off and it's not good. So Michelle, tell us about Beechtree Marketing, which you're doing an event soon, right?
Yes, it's next Wednesday, the 11th. It's going to be at the Animal Welfare Association. So super excited about that one.
So tell us about Beechtree Marketing. What is it?
Sure. I am the owner of Beechtree Marketing, and we help increase customer activity with digital marketing, anywhere from helping you with your website, taking over your social media, which we just won an award for that. I'm super proud of that. Your review and reputation management, and then all the way up to trying to create more traffic to your website by running ads for you.
Okay. And Wes, I know you're new with GHA Technologies, but tell me about what you guys do.
So like the name implies, GHA Technologies. We are a value-added reseller of all types of technologies, from laptops and PCs to data center technology to digital signage and telephony. So if it's something that you use, in most cases, we can source it.
Okay. So we all have a story, and I want to find out how you ended up at Beechtree Marketing, Michelle. What's your background that ended up getting you to starting your own business?
Well, thanks for asking. So I am an artist at heart. I actually did all these artworks. And my degree is actually in graphic design. I went to art school. And one of my first jobs right out of college was in the wedding industry doing custom wedding invitations. And I had a lot of fun learning about marketing that business. So I actually got into marketing by accident. And over the years, I would meet other wedding pros at bridal shows. They'd be like, "Oh, how do you do marketing?" And they became my first clients. And I also wanted to get off the computer a little bit. I'm kind of multi-passionate and decided to help run a paint party business, which was a lot of fun. But when COVID hit, I couldn't do either of those things. So when I was at home, and at the time I had a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm a homeschooling mom and I'll go back to freelancing graphic design. But I wound up working for a social media company for over 2 years, and we did everything social media. It's where I really learned a lot about that. But our clients always asked, what else could we be doing? And I knew what they could be doing, but we would always source it out. After a couple of years, the business closed on me and I was kind of left to go out on my own. But the problem was the business I was working for was down in Florida. So no one knew me up here. And I decided, you know what? I really just need to do this for my own, offer the full menu of services. And I've just been doing that for the past 2 years, and it's really panning out, and I'm loving every second of it.
All right. Now, Wes, we've drank together, but I really don't know. I know you went to Penn State, which, no offense, but I hate Penn State, Notre Dame. I always want to see lose. I think it's everyone from Cherry Hill East where I was like, we are Penn State. But I know you went to Penn State, but what is your path to where you are now?
So I was a psychology major out of Penn State. I actually started out in your neck of the woods out west, Steve. I was at USC for a year and a half. So the love for the Irish is similar to yours. Penn State, and then I got my MBA from LaSalle University. I was tired of writing papers for psychology, went into business, but I was in operations for most of my adult life until about 4 years ago when somebody came to me with a position that opened up that was in sales. I never wanted to be in sales because I always thought of it as a pushy position, right? And I just was never comfortable with that. But what I've learned is that, you're just listening to people, figuring out what their needs are, and then figuring out whether the organization you're with and your resources can satisfy what they're looking for.
All right.
And then, I was with a technology company for 4 years. They had a big layoff. I got caught up in that, and I'm doing the same thing, just with a different organization.
All right. And Scott, I know you're new. This is a newer company for you. Now, what's your path to being the treatment guy? That's what I'm going to call you. He's a treatment guy.
Yeah, so if you try to draw the circle, I don't think the ends touch. But first thing, if it wasn't for Venetian blinds, it would be curtains for all of us, Steve. So Venetian blinds get a bad rap. But I'll start with my uncle and aunt had a window treatment company for 40 years, all custom drapery, and they did that in their house. But I went to school for chemical engineering. For 20 years, I ran plants that provided chemicals for either shampoos, conditioners, makeup, or pharmaceutical creams and lotions. The last 10 years I spent in manufacturing, directing plants that either made salads in a bag, right? You see them in the stores, or most recently, frozen pizza and wontons, and it was a Korean company. I've always thought in the back of my head, and my son has his own business, he always said we should get together, and it wasn't right until beginning of the year. I said, you know what? I just cannot stand the traveling anymore. Korea, right? And France and Belgium. And Florida and all over. And it's glamorous when you're young. Eventually you get tired of it. And I said, I just can't do this anymore. July 7th, I walked out. You know, how I got to window treatments, the only thing when I bought this franchise was I do not want to open a store unless I want to. So we didn't have to open a store. I didn't want to fill a van with $300,000 worth of equipment. So that's right, Stanley steamer out, those other, right, home restoration, that's out. And I didn't want to have to hire employees. So it turns out I just started looking around at franchises. And then I said, you know what? I did this with my uncle and aunt when I was a kid, basically, helping, making some money on the side, putting in shades and drapes and curtains. I said, I can do this. So I don't know if I completed a circle, but that's how I got here. Best decision ever.
That's awesome. You know, it's funny. I wrote this question out this morning, and I'm really looking forward to asking it because you're all pretty much newer in your positions. So, you know, you're all new. I mean, Michelle, you know, with being for you, you know, you're new owning your business. Wes, you started a new job. Scott, you started it. So I'm going to start with you, Wes. Have you set goals for 2025 yet? And if so, what are like one or two of them? I can't hear you, Wes.
I was muting myself to make sure I didn't make any noise. Sorry. Classic. I was saying just to make it to 25 is my first goal, and I think I'm pretty good on that. But in this position, in this role, Steve, it's about building my base. So for me, it's just, you know, hitting certain numbers. Not that those are the end game, but that's what I'll need to get the traction to be able to make this successful.
Okay. How about you, Scott? You know, you're new in this business. You're hungry. Are you a goal? Like, I'm not a goal setter. I said the shit just falls down to me. That's my whole life's been like that. Okay, you know, you know, whatever. Oh, I'll move here. For you, have you set goals for 2025 and what are some of them?
I have, and of course, increasing sales and that's on there. But I've had the luxury my whole, you know, corporate life of having a controller and an accountant present to me general ledger, P&L, and budgets, and we would sit down and we would just go over the numbers. How they got there, I let them do that. But I've committed. A goal is everything I do, and a lot of companies do, right, is QuickBooks Online. I have committed one goal is for the first quarter is to understand and I can do my own books, just so I can do my own books and learn that, right? Rather than pay somebody to continually hand me, right, the financials, I want to understand them and how they get there. That's a goal. And a new business, right? I'm just really starting to turn a profit in November and December. So just continual growth each quarter.
Okay. How about you, Michelle? I mean, because you've been in what, 2 years you've been on your own?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm sure you're growing and you're growing because you said you didn't really know a lot of people. So what are you a goal setter? And if so, what are some goals for 2025?
Yes, definitely a goal setter. Having a business coach really helps with that. And we even had a meeting back in October on, hey, let's really start to talk about 2025. And for me, it's about fulfillment excellence. You know, it's like, it's one thing to do a service for a client, but I really want to get really good at it. Really happy clients. So client retention, of course, increasing sales, but that would require me to show up in more rooms. So that's really what I'm hoping to do more in 2025. Show up in more rooms, perhaps teach some more so I can offer value and kind of let that come to me and be more of a connector.
Okay. So we're gonna stay with you. We're gonna talk about 2024. 2024. What's a good year for life? I know you'll seem happy. You know, there's nothing a bad year. But for you, what's an accomplishment, Michelle, that you're very proud of? It can be personal or professional. In 2024, what's an accomplishment that you sat there, went back and said, well, like for me, it was for growing Cocktails with Cooper, from starting with 20 people to now like 70 people. That was a big accomplishment to me. I'm very proud of that. But for you, what's an accomplishment, personal or professional, that you're very proud of?
This could be applied to personal or business, but I got really good, I feel, of asking who, not how. So I feel like especially when I was first starting out, I was doing everything myself, but I'm getting much better at letting some things go and trusting my team to do things, but then also trying to apply some of that to my personal life so I can spend more time with my kids.
Okay. How about you, Scott? What's a proud accomplishment that you've had in the last, 2024? It's almost, oh my God, it's almost over. Personal or professional?
Yeah, personal. Steve, I was trying to direct two food manufacturing plants and run a brand new franchise and two full-time jobs. That leap of faith just to stop that corporate job. I woke up one day and I said, that's it. Today's my last day. So I'm proud that I actually had enough nerve, right? And belief in myself that I could just call my boss and say, I'm sorry. Today's my last day. I didn't know where the money was going to come from, but it's coming. So that's what I'm proud of, Steve. I could take that leap of faith.
Okay. How about you, Wes? What's something you're proud of? I know you have your daughter's great. People, if you don't know, Wes was on a Good Day Philadelphia. His daughter's a good makeup artist. She made him look like a woman, and I'll tell you, Wes is a pretty hot woman. I'm telling you, I was like, wow, Wes. But what besides that, besides her daughter making you a very hot woman, what is something that you're proud of, personal or professional, in 2024?
I think similar to Michelle, you can apply it to either personal or professional, both actually. For me, it's just a matter of being able to segment my time, right? So, I would say I want to do a little bit more reading, I want to do a little bit more exercising, or a little less of one, a little more of another. But I would always get caught up just putting my head down and going headstrong and doing one and missing out on some of the other stuff. So for me, I did make some advances there. Networking was one of them. Before I was having to build my own customer base, I wanted to get back into that. Remember when we had the Brady Bunch on steroids?
Coffee with Cooper,
Zoom
yeah.
calls, right? So, back then I did it all the time. And then after I started working, didn't do it as much. So one of my goals was to do that more because it's always beneficial, and it, right? It's what we do. So just some of the advancements there, I was happy to be able to get through.
Okay. So now it's winter. It's getting cold. It's first time, but of course it's supposed to go up to 60, but it's getting cold. So when you get up in the morning, you're like, I want to stay in bed. You got the blanket on, but we have to be motivated. And Scott, what motivates you? When you sit there, what makes you get up, man, in the morning and want to kick some ass? What is a motivating factor in your life?
It is the new business, right? It's almost like having a brand new, child in a way. You just want to take this, grow it. And what I look forward to every day, Steve, is I'm committed. And I always say all these events, right? Michelle, you said get in more rooms. I just want to find one person. It motivates me. Find one person every day that I can power with as a business partner.
How about you, Wes? What motivates you?
Challenges, I think. I always get up in the morning, get my coffee. I throw on some music to get me kind of going. But for me, again, building my business, whether it's a new contact or a new organization that I'm working with, it's that one more, right? The power of one. I'm not sure if you ever heard the book, but there's a book out there that says the power of one. It's the power of one more hour of working, the power of, maybe reading another chapter. It's just that little bit of a push. And I think if you apply that every day, it does help you in the end.
How about you, Michelle? What motivates you? What gets you going in the morning? Like you're, damn, yeah.
Well, it's definitely my kids, and sometimes that's literal. They come in and they jump on me. So it's like, all right, we're going to start the day. But at least once I get them all settled or off to school, then what's great is that I have complete creative freedom in my business, which I absolutely love. And no one's telling me what I have to do. And I actually look forward every day to seeing how I can at least help one business or have one conversation and learn about a business and how we could possibly help. So that's really what motivates me.
Okay. This next question, I ask every other week, and I usually ask it later in the show. But because Wes brought up books, I'm going to start now. And you can't use Power One. I'm not a big business book person. Okay, I like like the '90s metal scene in LA, or or a Motley Crue story. I like that kind of stuff. But I did read a business book of an actor I know called 10,000 Notes by Matthew Del Negro, who's in The Sopranos. He was in West Wing. He's in City in the Hill, and it's very good. Actually, I'm listening to it. But Wes, I get from what you said, you're probably a big business book reader. What's a book besides Power One? What's a book that read or listened? What's a book that has made an impact on you that you sit there and go, like you would say to someone, if someone said, "Hey man, you got a business book I should read." What's a book you would recommend?
I think the one I just finished like a week ago, and I was listening to it. Start with Why, Simon Sinek. It's the whole golden circle or the cone, where it's not what you do or how you do it, it's why you do it. And I've had customers, actually a customer of mine, an old customer of mine was the person who actually turned me on to it. He had two of them sitting in his bookcase, but I got the audio book, listened to it, and it just made sense, Steve. If my why is aligned with my customer's why or benefits and works together, then you're going in the same direction. Doesn't matter how you do it, but why you do it is what keeps it strong and what keeps you in the right direction. And I think that applies to everything that you do when you get down to it. So that's one.
Okay, Michelle, are you a big business book reader?
I am, and I'm in some groups that always share some good tidbits, and I'm a big fan of audiobooks, so I can listen while I'm doing other activities. But my favorite one, which I want to re-listen to, is Everything is Figure-Outable by Marie Forleo. She's a Jersey girl, huge inspiration to me, and it's actually one of my mottos that if I come into a struggle or a block, I just sit back and say, no, everything is figure-outable. There's a way to get through this. She also has parts of her book where she talks about time management, and that was something I struggled with so much in the beginning. And because of that, I'm able to compartmentalize my day and get through what I need to get done.
Okay. How about you, Scott? Are you a big business book reader?
Not so much business, but motivational tied to business, right? Especially now.
What's a book that has made an impact on you?
One I've read probably 10 times, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? That I love that book, Stephen Covey. I just keep going. Also, my kids have that book. I made them read it as teenagers. But I just came back from a conference, and the motivational speaker, his name was James Lawrence, known as the Iron Cowboy. He ran 101 triathlons in 150 days. And I said, my God, if he can do that, I can wake up in the morning and not have an issue with whatever's happening in the business, right? So I just got it, and I'm just about to start that book as, motivation for no matter what's happening. It can't be as bad as running 101 triathlons in 150 days or something like that.
That's amazing, man. When you think about it, it's like, God, I mean, it's like if I go to the gym 4 days a week, I'm like, yes! I'm like, oh, I got my steps elsewhere. I was doing this. I'm like, as long as I look at my steps, and if I don't have to go to this is how lazy I am. No lie, I live in Marlton, and the road I would take the back way to the gym, all of Marlton's under construction, so it doesn't go through. So I don't want to make the left lane, the turn that will take me like 3 lights and have to come this way home. So I've been going to the gym. I go out and walk, but my wife's like, go back to the gym. I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with the traffic. That's how like undedicated I am to some of this shit. But it's good to know that. So they're all good books. So people go read those books, because these people know what they're talking about. So people like to pat themselves on the back all the time. I think you've noticed that. We've all been in social media. People have no problem telling you they're an expert, or they're great, or they're amazing, or they tell you, this and this and this. And here's a point in this show where you get to tap yourself on the back. Pat yourself, as my mom saying, on the back. Michelle, what's a quality you have that you're very proud of, and that you sit there and go, man, like for me, someone told me I was very credible, and I was like, oh wow, that's cool, because people actually believe me. They know I'm not full of shit, which you never want people to think that. But what's a quality you have that you're very happy that you have?
it has to be the fact that I am a great graphic designer. I'm very passionate about branding, and it comes through in not only digital art but also physical art as well. And so there's that, and the fact that I like to take risks and maybe even be a little funny. I think that's why we won an award for social media, because it's something that people look to hire us to do because they don't have time to do social media. And it's all about how you're showing up. And we like to take risks, be funny, stop the scroll. So I love the fact that I could take that creativity and bring it out in businesses.
See, it's good that you said that. Because a lot of times people wouldn't say, they would say, "Well, I'm a really good graphic designer, but I'm also good at this and this." But you actually said I'm a great graphic designer, which is good. People need to be, because everyone says they're a jack of all trades. I mean, you're like, no, well, what are you great at? And yours is graphic design. So people, if you need a great graphic designer, look up Michelle. Beechtree Marketing. I always want to call it Beechtree. I don't know. Like, it's weird, but I like Beechtree. And Scott, a quality about you or a talent you have that you are very proud of.
I am, and only because people tell me. I probably make the best barbecue and brisket probably that you could probably put in your mouth, Steve. I'm not lying. And actually, there was at one time I was thinking about opening up a restaurant just for barbecue, but then I realized, you work till 3 in the morning and then get up at 5 in the morning to just start the next day brisket, right? So I'm proud of my barbecue, Steve.
Well, I want to try that barbecue. So if you go into my events one time, bring me a little brisket or bring me some ribs. I like pork ribs. I don't beef ribs are too tough sometimes. I like pork ribs. So,
Not
but
mine,
yours
Steve.
aren't because you're a great barbecue guy. Wes, besides being a handsome devil, what's a quality that you're very proud of?
Thank you, Steve. I don't know. I think I have a strong dedication to what I commit myself to. And a big part of that is I develop a rapport quickly, right? So I think I'm friendly and I think I'm funny. Sometimes I think I'm funnier than other people think I am, but of course not you, Steve, because that's your gig. So I'll leave that to you. But I just, friends and customers alike, like I like to get to the point with a customer relationship where they know that they can come to me and they may not get what they want, but they know that every time I will work as hard as I can to get there. So.
Okay. Now, Michelle, we already told us you're a great graphic designer, and we appreciate that, and we appreciate your honesty, and we appreciate your confidence. But what's a negative quality you have about yourself that you feel that you have to change? Like mine, I say it all the time, is I'm an awful procrastinator. So like even like we're supposed to get a Christmas tree today. I'm like, hey, maybe can we get it tomorrow? It's going to be warmer. And only 5 degrees, but I procrastinate. I don't feel like just dealing with putting it in the car and all that crap. But what's a quality that that is you look at as negative and you have to improve?
Oh, okay. Well, if we're talking maybe personal, is that my house is always a mess. I'm, I may be trying to keep my business all in order, but then it's like, oh, I'm just gonna step over all those dirty clothes on the floor. So could be a better housekeeper. My husband will tell you that for sure. So I'm a messy creative.
But in your business life, what's something that
So in my business,
in your professional life?
yeah, in my professional life, I honestly think I work too much. I have this shiny object syndrome problem where I'm like, ooh, let's try that. Ooh, I want to learn that something new about that course, or I want to try too many things. So sometimes having focus on one thing is my problem. I want to try all the things. So that's my weakness.
Okay, how about you, Scott? We know you make a great brisket and barbecue, which but what's something that you have to in your professional life, something you have a little bit of lacking of, and you need to improve on it.
Yeah, so my managers over the years have been consistent in this feedback. But right, as a plant manager, director, I will teach, I will mentor, I will coach, because I don't know if I believe, and I think this is the deficiency, is I expect everyone else who reports to me, and even those who don't, to have the same compassion and dedication to a company and their job that I have, and that's just not reality. So when it comes time to me finding that I think I've done everything that I could to get you along the same path, well then I become a little negative and then look to replace you. So I think if I'm explaining it right, I just have to accept the fact that not everybody has the same work ethic and dedication, right, that everyone else has. And that's okay. It's okay. Some people just want to come to work and then go home.
It's funny you say about work ethic because growing up back east, the work ethic is so much stronger than out west. Like when I lived in LA, like I did corporate marketing for a restaurant and I did event planning for a restaurant. When I have big parties planned, and a person would show up like 15 minutes late. And they'd be like, what are you doing? I go, well, can't you set it up? I'm like, you're off the party. So the guy went from making, $250 in tips for 45 minutes of work or an hour and a half of work to working the floor, running around. And it was just no one had a work ethic back there out west. And it was very surprising because being in the entertainment industry, you have to have a strong work ethic. But once again, it's hard to find that. And you can't get irritated at it because not people were brought up like us with a good work ethic, and you just have to be blessed that happened. Wes, what's something that a quality you have to improve on in your professional life?
So I kind of mentioned it earlier about what I wanted to improve. But I think that hyper focus that I have at times gets me too deep into the weeds too soon, right? Or maybe for too long a period when I really should step back some, let it sit, do something else, come back at a higher level instead of just trying to get to the answer. But it's coming along. I think part of that too is I'm a worrier, right? So I'll let things bother me until they're fixed. And I think that's part of the problem is I try to settle it and try to get it done before I'm moving on. And I need to be able to just not cut bait completely, but just kind of set it aside, move on to something else, and then come back again.
It's hard. I'm a worrier too. It's hard. Being a worrier. Are either of you two worriers, Scott and Michelle? It's such a hard thing. Okay, so okay. We'll stay with you, Wes. How do you deal with the worry? Like we've all woken up in the middle of the night and thought, what if everything disappears? Like what if all our clients or whatever disappear, and maybe it's just me, but I think we've all gone through that. Like, what if? How do you conquer the what if? I don't think there's not a right or wrong answer. I don't even know. I sit there and I just try to fall back asleep. I count backwards from 100. Well, and I have ADD, so I get distracted at like 74. And I'm like, oh shit, I got to start again. But how do you deal with that, Wes? When you're a worrier and you wake up in the middle of the night and you're worried about your next day or you're worried about your kids, what do you do to combat that?
Sometimes I get up and I work. My kids, I always worry about them. Like if I hear sirens, I'll text them and saying, hey, are you home? Were you at school? Just because I worry. Sometimes even during the day where I'm stuck on something, or if I can't, it's just something that's bugging me. I'll go for a run or go for a walk, or if it's nice enough, I'll take the cycle out, and that helps me kind of take a breath. But it's really getting away from it for a little bit. Unfortunately, you can't get away from a lot of stuff that's just in your head, but I think it's distracting yourself to the point where you can focus on something else and then come back.
How about you, Scott? Because I said you have a new company now, and you said you left everything. You said, I don't know where the money's going to come from, but you took a true leap of faith. But with a true leap of faith, there is always fear. And I think that's what propels people to take a leap of faith because they're tired of being stagnant. But what do you do when you worry about something? When it comes, what do you do? How do you deal with it?
So in a way, I'm like, Wes, if something's bothering me, and this goes back to when I was right in manufacturing and right running companies, if it's worrying me enough to wake me up in the middle of the night and keep me up, I'm going to work on it. Okay, so sometimes you just have to work on it. But I go back to what I've always said to my kids growing up, when life knocks you down, get up and punch back. So sometimes I just ground myself in those words. Like if it's worrying you, and just figure out how you're going to punch back to get rid of what's causing you to worry.
Okay. How about you, Michelle? What when you deal with worry, because you're a creative type, and that drives creative types, and we're like the biggest worriers and neurotic. I mean, it's something in our head. But what do you do when we may wake up in the middle of the night because you're running your own company, or when you just get that it's that feeling like the overwhelming and you're worried? What do you do? How do you get out of it?
Yes, definitely a big warrior. So you're totally right in that. If it's waking me up in the middle of the night, I do have to get up and just walk around, but I won't actually work on it. I may just walk around the house, get a drink of water, write it down, and then say, this is for the morning, try to go back to sleep. If it's during the day, it's a combination of getting up and getting some exercise, trying to think the opposite of like, hey, this is what I'm grateful for. Like, I get to have this problem and I actually get to solve it and know I can solve this later. And then I also call my mom because she always makes me feel better.
See, that's always good. That's good. I used to sit there. It's funny when I was a cigarette smoker. I always knew I wasn't like addicted because if I worried, I never smoked. It was just like do it with coffee. Like I know people go, "Oh, I need a cigarette," and they go outside and I'm like, "Dude, really? How's that going to help? It calms the nerves." No, it doesn't. It increases your heart rate, so it's not calming your nerves. So we all are who we are because of our past and our lives and people we know. Scott, give me two people, one when you were younger and one in the last few years that have made an impact on you. I mean, it may be your parents, it may be a teacher, but give me someone from when you were younger. And I know we all have a lot of them because we're out and we meet a lot of mentors and stuff like that. But give me two people that really stick out in your head, one from youth or through college and then one in your professional life.
I'm going to go back to my dad's grandmother who had a sense of humor I haven't found since then. And really just, I believe, and Steve, right? I have a pretty good sense of humor and I get that whether it's genes or just being around her. So really, she forged a sense of humor, just enjoy life. I will go back to a couple jobs ago. My boss, the VP of manufacturing, I mean, just a great person. I'm still friends with him and we still go to concerts. We still see each other and he doesn't live near me, but just a great guy and just he was just very impactful when I took a really big promotion.
Okay. How about you, Michelle? From when you were younger and then from your smiling side, I think it's someone really special. And you can't use your mom because we already know you call her. So mom. There's no mom on this one, even though, our mom is all, if we've had good moms, my mom was influential on me too. But someone from when you were younger and someone in the last few years.
I mean, there are some teachers that stand out, and it's funny you say that because I was going to say my parents, but my dad specifically because as a creative, my dad actually worked in Manhattan, like on Wall Street. I never understood what he did. And I just knew that I didn't want to leave super early, be gone all day, and then come home at night. And I just never really understood that. But one day, he left a note before he left next to one of my drawings, and it just said, "Don't waste this." And I was 16, 17. And, at that time, they're always already pressuring you. What do you want to do when you grow up? Make a decision now. You got to make a decision now. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but because of that, it made me realize, you know what, I do want to do something in art and I wanted to pursue that. But then it leads into who still inspires me today, and that is my Aunt Beth. She's my mom's sister, but because of that, I never knew what I could do in art. But she actually worked in graphic design and had me come down and have a tour of an ad agency. And it made me realize the potential of what I could be. But even as I was going through my career and ultimately starting my own business, she was my biggest cheerleader in saying, you can run your own business. You can do this. And I believe in you. And she sends me notes every once in a while, just saying how proud she is of me. And she's always like my go-to of anything inspirational, like, no, you can do this, or hey, take a look at this book or podcast that can really help level me up as as a different person. So I have to really thank her for shaping me into who I am today.
Okay. How about you, Wes?
Back in the day, my dad, you know, yeah, I always remember he would tell me, look, if you're going to do something, don't do it half-assed, right? And that's probably my put your nose down and get it done attitude. Um, and just so many different times where he would just push me, not in a bad way, just he would, I don't remember him much yelling ever throughout my childhood, but the things that he said, rang clear. And then today, I'm going to say two people collectively, and they're my kids, right? I find myself when I'm doing things and I'm thinking, like if I'm running, I think of my son and I want to stop and what would I tell him? So I give myself and listen to the advice that I would tell my kids. So when I'm trying to figure something out for myself, I say, what would you tell Sydney or Wesley? And that helps me because I don't want to be that guy who's going to say, you should do this, but I can't, or I wouldn't do the same.
All right. So we all got a network. We all go out and we build relationships, and you build relationships, and which leads to business, and it also leads to us referring people out. You meet someone, hey, this person does this, and you want to refer them, and then sometimes you meet someone, you refer them, and they do a shitty job, and the people who you refer them to come back to you and go, "What the hell were you thinking, Cooper?" I'm like, "What?" They go, They showed up like an hour late." That happened with the painter we had. The guy like showed up like the next day, and he's bitching. He's like, "It was my wife." It was my wife's friend's husband, and he kept saying he gave me the quote. Okay, and I figured so he gave me the quote, and then he's like, I usually charge more than this. I'm like, well, you gave me the quote, don't you know? So I would never refer this person just because they suck. But we all work with referrals, and we know we get burnt if it's a bad referral. But Michelle, what does it take? What qualities or work ethic, or what does it take for you to refer someone to a close friend? Not just like someone you might meet and go, oh, he'd give you a few names, but for you to actually sit there and put your neck on the line to refer someone. What does it take for a person? What qualities do they have that you have to know so you can refer them?
Great question. I think if they can hold a really good conversation with me and be personable and ask me questions, like be as curious about me as I am about you, and not just be all about the business, that I'm more inclined to refer you to one of my family or friends. Because I really think that, and I ask these questions every day when I'm talking to businesses, like, what's your story? Like, tell me more about your background. And I just love talking about the personal side of things. Like, what is your why? So if I can understand your why better, and it really is rooted in something that you're passionate about, like I could see that come through. And then I want to then share that with my friends and family.
Okay. I heard about this great book about the why. I don't know. Oh, Wes does. No. Wes told me about it. Wes, you're referring someone. Someone comes up with you and goes, hey, man, I need this job. You got someone for me? Because I get people to ask all the time, and I'm very selective. And but what qualities do they have to have? Because once again, I said it earlier, no one bitches at the person who did the work. They bitch at you, and then they're like, oh God, what the hell? So what is a quality?
I think I'd have to be willing to use them myself, like if it were me. And I'm I'm torn sometimes too, because you want to make sure you're making a good referral, right? And you don't necessarily always know that person in the capacity that they're looking to assist your friend with or your contact with. So it is tough, Steve, and I think that I'm a little bit overcritical, but I think I have to have that trust and feeling that there's reliability there and that they would step up and do it. And look, a lot of it has to do with me trusting the fact that would happen.
Okay. How about you, Scott? Because I'm sure you run into different people because what you do, you have to know a lot of people in your surrounding areas, and so people may come to you if they, they'll think, oh, well, he does window treatments. Well, he must know a painter or he must know this because it's just that mindset of people. What are some qualities for you to refer someone to someone you care about, and then someone that you want them not to be pissed at you and be like, oh God, whatever. What is a
So Wes stole my thunder, which is perfect. First, before I refer anybody, I say to myself, would I want them coming in my house? Would I trust them coming in my house and doing work in my house or a place of business? And that only comes, I won't refer somebody just because, right, you use painter, that somebody else says he's really good. I have to have conversations with them and more than one or two or three, and they have to go well, right? The personal stories, punctuality. I have to understand, I have to feel good when I'm talking to somebody. And then if I believe I would bring them in my house to let them do the work, I would refer them.
okay? That's good. So I'll refer all of you because I know you guys came on the show, so I know you're not full of crap. Because you wouldn't be on the show if you were full of crap. I wouldn't ask you to be on here. So it's a two-parter. We're going to start with you, Michelle, because I think I want to hear your creative side of this. And now there's no right or wrong answer, and you may think they're the same. For you now in your life at this point, not when you were younger, like when you were right out of college, but now. What is to you success and what is happiness? Now, I don't think they're the same because I know a lot of people who are successful who are miserable. Some people say they do think they're the same. And once again, this is what talking is about. It's not like online going, oh, shut up, you don't know shit. They're the same thing. You see that all the time on like Facebook. Like people just yell at you like, oh, I like rye bagels. Rye bagels suck. You're an everything hater. We hate you. But what is success to you and what is happiness? And if they're the same, that's fine. But what to you now in your life? Success, happiness.
Success to me is being able to work from home and make my own schedule and spend time with my kids. Like just knowing that my business can run and if I need to take some time off. So like that's like success for me, building something that can a well-oiled machine that can run without me if it needs to for a short period of time. Then happiness is a combination of seeing the world, going on trips. I really want to travel. And dessert is my happiness.
Dessert?
Dessert.
What's one of your favorite desserts?
I love brownies. So any kind of hot fudge brownie sundae or something. I love chocolate.
All right, Splits has good brownies. They have good. They have good banana splits. I saw Albie eat a whole banana split in 5 minutes. I'm like, holy shit, it was huge. I'm like, how did you eat that, Albie? Scott, success, happiness.
I'll start with happiness. It's doing what you want to do in life. I tell my kids that all the time when they've asked growing up and continue, what should I do? Where should I say, do what's going to make you happy, go what's going to make you happy. Success to me, and I'll just say it again, I'm not going to mark it by the business. Well, I'm not going to say success is through the business. But I would say my son's 25, my daughter is 24, and I have really good kids, really good at heart kids. They are extraordinary human beings, and I would say in life I've been successful.
All right, that's good. How about you, Wes? Happiness and success. In either order, you can do it. Success first, happiness, whatever you want. Because we've had one do success first, one do happiness first. So, Wes, you're the tiebreaker. So make me happy, and I'll feel successful if you're the good tiebreaker.
Well, I would never want to piss you off, Coop, so I'm going to make you happy. I'm going to go start with success. And I think success is, mastering what you do, right? Now, that's easy at a high level, but, I come from a track background, right? So what's success at a meet? You do 3 different events, you do great at one, okay in another, crappy in the third. But is it a good day because one part of that was great. Like I would be happy in business success. I used happy when I was trying to talk about success. Sorry. I would have a successful day with work if I made a sale or brought on another client. But at the end of the day, if I had something go wrong, I might look at that day differently. So I think success gets a little bit complicated. I think happiness does too. But success is really, it's measuring yourself up against yourself as opposed to trying to outdo everybody else or be the best salesperson. For me, it's the best that you can be, which is kind of hokey, but that's what I believe. Happiness is, it's I think it's challenging sometimes, right? Because again, like I'm happy that my kids are doing great. I'm happy that they're healthy, and I'm happy that I have the friends and family around me that I have. So I think, happiness is rooted in your surroundings as it relates to those who are close to you.
It's funny. Happiness is so weird. Like for me, we're getting a Christmas tree. And happiness will be once it's decorated, and I'm going to open a Sam Adams Fezziwick beer, and my wife will watch a Hallmark movie. That'll be happiness for me for tonight. That's happiness. It's as simple as that. It's just crazy. So let's talk about crazy. Let's talk about LinkedIn crazy. Okay, we're all on LinkedIn. Scott, you're on LinkedIn, right? Are you on LinkedIn, Scott?
I am on LinkedIn, and it was always in business. I haven't converted yet into business. I have to do that. It's not a goal, but I have to do that. Get the new business in LinkedIn.
Well, LinkedIn, LinkedIn's great for business, but I noticed some people, I guess, everyone wants to be an influencer. And so they sit there and they show this picture and it's like, and they tell you like they're in some like field. And it's always bright colors. They always have fucking bright colors, like a bright yellow or a hat or something. And they're sitting there and they're telling you what you're doing wrong. Like they're saying, the problem with your business, even though I don't know you, is, I learned from my past, this is what you have to do right. And it bothers me that some people are they automatically assume that you're an idiot. They don't think about it. They don't look like they're the biggest narcissist in the world. That's just bothered me. I saw something this morning that just triggered me. And I get triggered very easy on stupid shit. My wife always I get pissed off at Gus the Groundhog when I see him on a commercial. Irritates me. My wife's like, calm down. It's not real. But Michelle, and you're a graphic designer and you're into creativity, what bothers you on LinkedIn?
Well, what bothers me on LinkedIn, you make a good point about the people trying to be influencers and the bright colors. That's all like color theory, right? Like, whoa, what could be the loudest and get your attention, right? Had a whole class on that. I do find that it is very busy and it's not as authentic as it could be. Like if you are going on social media, yes, there's a level of professionalism you need to have, but at the same time, it's like you're also a person. How can you show up and help, not put the person down? So I agree with you on putting people down. It's like, well, no, you're there to serve and give advice or be engaging and educational or even entertain, even though it's in business. So how are you showing up for that? So I tend to scroll past that and just try to engage with the accounts that do make me happy and what I want my feed to show, what I want my feed to show me.
Okay. How about you, Scott? When you go one, because you're on LinkedIn, but you have to transform it. But what's something?
This has always bothered me. It continually bothers me. Somebody reaches out and said, I've reviewed your, past history and your credentials, and I think we would be great to partner up with. And it has nothing to do with my background. They're just reaching out to get, and that really, Steve, to this day, it's like Gus the Groundhog bothers you. That still to this day bothers me.
I'm going to get a dummy account from Gus the Groundhog and have him reach out to you, Scott. Hey, this is Gus the Groundhog. I think we should partner together on carrots. You got anything? I want to eat some carrots.
Yeah, your background is perfect because, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How about you, Wes?
I don't know, Steve. I don't get worked up too much about it. I see stuff out there. I see things that are valuable. I save a lot of stuff. I probably save more than I actually go back and read, because I read a headline and then if I have the time, I'll read it right away. But I think it's degraded some since the start of LinkedIn. Like sometimes you see Facebook and LinkedIn start to blend on different profiles and the comments that come out because it's supposed to be professional, right? I think for the most part it is, and for me, it's been beneficial. I've been growing my connections for as long as I've had it, and especially now. But I do think that there's really no place. Constructive criticism is great, right? I mean, you would want that. But obviously there's a lot of people who quote to say that something is wrong or you don't know what you're talking about, or as opposed to just really providing advice. And some people will get upset about that as well, but I think that's okay. I think it's off when it's more of an attack, like I know better than you.
Okay. So I met you all through networking, and that's what we do. It's everyone goes out and networks. So for this, I want you to give me a just like one sentence, or just a little blurb. I like that word, blurb. What you like about networking. Wes, what do you like about networking? Because you said you had to get out and network more, that's what you're trying to get out. What do you like about networking?
I think you get what I like about networking is the interaction, right? You don't have somebody like Scott is saying, who's just reaching out and saying, hey, I think we could, right? You get both sides of it immediately. You could get a feeling from somebody just by the way they approach you, and then especially through the quick conversations. And, sometimes it's difficult because you have like preconceived ideas of maybe seeing somebody and you're like, oh, I heard about that guy or that woman. But a lot of that gets knocked out as soon as you have that conversation as well. Nothing happens in a relationship quicker than when you're one-on-one or even just face-to-face, as opposed to being one-on-one. Even in a group, you start to get those, it saves so much time as opposed to phone calls and emails and virtual. Nowadays, how many different forms are there of meeting somebody? Virtually on emails, and then on the phone, and then WebEx or Teams, or virtually, and then finally in person. So I think it's that personal piece of in-person networking that really provides the power of networking. Okay,
how about you, Michelle? What do you like about networking?
It really is that personal connection, because if they can know you personally, then they're more likely to refer you, especially if you can be more memorable. By far, networking is what has grown my business to what it is today.
Okay. How about you, Scott? Because you're out there networking now. You're hitting the pavement, baby. You want to get in the rooms. What do you like about networking?
What I like about networking is meeting business friends. So I have personal friends, I have business contacts. The reason why I do this day after day is to get business friends, right? Because those are the ones that we will, we meet sometimes. I have some that we meet just for Eagles games, but these are the people that I will refer to friends and customers. So I'm trying to meet, I love that it's a way to meet business friends.
And you have to like the food sometimes. If you ever go to Kelly's events at Adjust Your Sleep Mattress Boutique, she always has good dips, like these best like hummuses and dips. It's like, man, these are great, and good sangria. That always makes an event good. Dips and sangria, you can't go wrong. Final question today. You're all business people. We all talk to people about business. We all give our advice. We want to help people. You're all helping people. So if someone comes up to you, and they can be your kid, it can be a business peer, it can be a college graduate, or someone that they want to get some advice. They want to look at you as a mentor, and they want to give you they want you to give them some advice about what can they do to just to get shit in gear. Scott, what someone comes to you and looking at you as a mentor, what advice do you give them to make them tick? Like, what would you tell them to do to be successful in the business world or life?
I always start with, it's a great question, and I mentioned it before. I always start it with, if somebody comes to you and says, I'm really not, happy what I'm doing or frustrated, you have to like and enjoy what you're doing. That's critical. If not, there's no amount of right schooling or compensation that's going to make you happy, and you're going to be miserable in what you're doing, no matter what you do, unless you want to do it. Conversely, there are people that love what they do and they don't make a lot of money, and that's fine because they're enjoying what they do. So,
Okay. How about you, Michelle?
If someone were to come to me and say what I should do next, I agree with Scott. Like, you need to love what you do. But if they're trying to, whether they're the worker or want to start a business, I would say find someone that's already doing what you want to do and either go work for them or learn from them. Having a coach is super important. And I'm actually part of a community of other agency owners, and we all have a coach. So we're modeling all our agencies after their agency. And then you get your own community that way, and you all learn from each other. So that's super important.
Okay. How about you, Wes?
Again, for me, it's the interaction. So I think the advice I would give would be to always be open-minded, right? Don't go into conversation or meetings or anything where there's an interaction without being willing to accept different ideas. Don't make assumptions about the people that you're meeting, and assume or know that everybody's dealing with something, right? Like, I might run into somebody at the store and the guy's a complete, not a nice person to me at the time, but he may have just left a doctor's office, or he may have just come out of his divorce, whatever. There's always something going on where in another situation, the guy's going to be your best friend. So I think it's just go into things being accepted. There's a song, right? Be humble and kind, right? Hold doors, say thank you, say please, don't cheat, don't steal, and don't lie.
All right. See that? So people, you have your advice. So Scott, how can people get in touch with you if they want to do business with you? How do they get in touch with you?
Well, they can scan that code that's behind them, or Google "Gotcha Covered" of Mount Laurel.
All right. How about Michelle? How can they get in touch with you?
I'm on all the fun social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, or you can go to beechtreemarketing.com, and that's Beechtree with 2 E's.
All right. How about you, Wes?
I would say LinkedIn's probably the easiest because my email is now enormously long. So.
Okay, so people reach out to them if they need their services. If you need to get in touch with me, reach out to me at the Coop Tank at yahoo.com. Coming in the new year, if you're afraid to speak in public, or you just have anxiety going to networking groups, I can help you with that. It's a 4-week boot camp where you will overcome your fear through the art of comedy or storytelling. We'll sit there, we'll work with you, it'll be a class, you all have the same thing in common. You hate being in front of people. And at the end, you'll actually get up in class on stage and make people laugh. So reach to me about that. Also, go to YouTube and find past episodes of the Coop Tank. Watch them, rate them. Also, my other show is Coop's Comedy Corner. I got some great Emmy winners, some of the best stand-up comics in the country. We're 11 episodes in on that. You can go to search that on YouTube, Coop's Comedy Corner, or go to coopertalk.net. I have over 1,000 episodes, over 60 members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, actors you love, TV writers you love. Check that out. Check all the work out. Don't forget also, Joe Gangemi. He's the man, best producer in town. You want to go to SuiteRecording.com. You know what's amazing about him is he not only produces these shows, but he also builds studios. So just think, if you wanted a podcast and you wanted to do it out of your house, Joe could sit there and build you a studio, and then he could sit there and show you how to do everything. And then you can have me be an interview coach. So check everything out. Check my guests out today. Also, don't forget to check out Splits, Laurel Lanes and Splits. I love that place. I drink there every once in a while. So please check them out. I'm Steve Cooper. Thank you for watching, or if you're listening, thank you for listening. Happy holidays if I don't see you before then, and you have a great weekend.